Hi, my name's Alan Simpson. This is a course for people learning Vue.js and Firebase for the first time. And the kind of thing we're going to be creating here is this curated collections page where each of these cards represents a website that people can visit. And I put these out for my students so they can find references and cheat sheets and stuff. Now, each of these cards is a link to some website. Okay, so it's just kind of a fancy way to display links to websites. We'll make it responsive in the sense that if they look at it on a phone, it still looks good and works okay. All right. Now, one thing that makes this different about any typical run-of-the-mill website is we're not actually going to create these pages. All the data for these little cards is going to be coming from a spreadsheet. This one happens to be in Excel, but that's just what I have handy. All that matters is it's in some kind of tabular format like this. Actually, I got this off docs.com as a CSV file, then I pulled it into Excel, and I actually have it in Access. But none of that's important, really. What's important is that the data is coming from a spreadsheet. We're going to manage the data from the spreadsheet and not actually hand code every single link. And that's the part where Vue.js and Firebase are going to play a role. The data from the spreadsheet will be stored in a Firebase database, and we'll also use Firebase for hosting the site so it's available to the public, and both of those are free. It won't cost you any money. Now we need Vue.js to act as sort of an intermediary between the Firebase database and the web page we're creating, and you'll see how that works, and that's also free. Okay, getting back to the spreadsheet, each row across represents one link, which is one card in the website. Some, but not all have an author, and we just don't show any text if there isn't an author for a particular site. In other words, I chose to make author an optional thing. All right, the next column over called category ID is kind of how I tell them apart. Anyone with a category ID of 1 is an HTML reference or cheat sheet. Category ID 3 is a CSS reference or cheat sheet. And when people click a link, I take them to the page but show them only the ones in that category. And you'll see how that works later. The order column is just a number assigned to each one that tells what order to show it in. I don't actually use that right now. I'm just showing them in alphabetical order or whatever, but I put the field in there just in case some other time I decide I'd like to manually order these things. Having that in there now gives me that option if I decide to go that way later down the line. The image name is the file name of the image file that goes with each card. For example, this one has a dog image, a logo from the site, and so that name you see there is just the file name without the extension. They're all .jpg files, so rather than repeat that over and over in every single column, I just put in the file name, and we can put the rest in later when we write the code. Okay, the page URL column is the URL of the link, in other words, where they're taken when they click the card on the page, and the title is the title at the top of each card. So basically the whole point of this course is to be able to take raw data, that is just text in rows and columns that's not formatted to look pretty or anything, and display it on the web in a web page in an attractive format where people can actually click it and follow a link. But we don't have to go in and do each page individually. What we can do is just when we want to add or remove a link, we can just do that in the spreadsheet, pop that data up there, and then the whole site just adjusts itself so you're not manually working with the code every time you want to add or remove a site. Now, I titled the course Beginner Firebase plus Vue. The word beginner there doesn't mean computer beginner. This is for people who just haven't used Vue or Firebase yet, but you should be familiar with HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript would definitely help, and you'll need some kind of a code editor. I'll be using VS Code, my current main squeeze in the code editing world. You can use any editor you like. Atom, Brackets, Sublime, WebStorm all come to mind, and they're all perfectly good for this. Whatever you use is fine. But the point is, I'm not going to be teaching you how to pick an editor or use an editor. You're going to have to already know how to do that and have some experience writing code with that particular editor. You're also going to need some tools of the trade, including Node.js and Vue.js, CLI, and Firebase tools. Now, these things are all free. I don't assume you already have them, so in the next lesson, I'll show you how to get them. But again, they are free, so don't worry about having to go out and spend any money for this stuff. All right? So if that still sounds like something you might be interested in, come on over to the next lesson, and we will get right into it. See you there.